the contract a legal requirement every single time we appear on camera. We're just going to make sure that the lawyers are happy they have seen two biceps. There are two biceps on the screen there. It is definitely not something that I made up to show off my biceps of 24 years in the gym. I've just hit the anniversary, January, 24 years, non-stop training. That's definitely not something that I've worked into the show to show off my biceps at all. No, especially at the start. I wouldn't do something like that. I'm not that egotistical. The co-host, the co-founder, the co-wearer of clothes, the co-breather of air in this virtual room. It is none other than the master of disaster, the king of sting, the count of Monte Cristo. It is the winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year award. It is in the background there somewhere. You'll have to pull it out at some point. It is none other than your friend and mine. It is Dave Stockbridge. Stockbridge, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Hollywood Matt Connolly. I certainly appreciate that. Very warm welcome, as always, and welcome to everybody who is tuning into the Arm Wrestling Tonight podcast, wherever you may be, anywhere around the world. And the man on screen is a man that needs no introduction, but he is going to get one tonight because this man has done more by the numbers than anybody else. And to come to arm wrestling with a new vision, with an idea, first and foremost, about not just how do we get this sport mainstream, it was how do we present this sport to the world at a world-class level so it cannot be ignored by the masses. This man got his head around the concept and has, well, let's say, the best looking on-screen presentation of the sport that has ever been developed in the history of mankind. Ladies and gentlemen, he's the head of the Pro Panja League. He is the overlord of all things arm wrestling on the subcontinent. Ladies and gentlemen, is Parvinn Dabass.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dave and Matt, for the lovely intro. I definitely do need an intro, especially your part of the town, but thank you for the lovely intro. Thank you.
And how is it? I guess for you, you're a big star outside of arm wrestling. Now you've got this huge profile in a sport that you've made so popular. You must be a very recognizable figure on the streets of India. And how does it feel when you in India you're huge, and then maybe outside of India you do need an introduction and people aren't as familiar with who you are?
Well, yeah. Which is if you see in Mumbai, it's like Hollywood. You might have Tom Cruise or Keanu Reeves shopping in the market, so everybody's seeing everybody. The beggar on the street knows whose car it is, and they're used to seeing people. So in Mumbai, it's not a big deal. But yeah, outside of India, outside of Mumbai, there is more recognition. But I'll tell you, it's something that comes and goes depending on what movie you're doing and how. So I never let that affect me. I remember reading something that never feel too happy with your successes and never feel too low about your failures. So always be even-headed about both. So I just enjoy being with my family, friends, and working. And when people recognize and it's great. And if they don't, also it's fine. It's not what defines me, so to speak. So, but yeah, of course, it feels great because if you're doing hard work and it's recognized, everybody loves for their work to be appreciated and recognized. So that's always a great feeling.
Well, you really have been a tremendous gift to the sport of arm wrestling. It usually takes a visionary, and it comes down to the few. There's normally only a few people really change the course of history or the path that a sport might be on. And you've been one of those central figures in the most populous region of the world. Was this always your intent? Did you think it could get this big this quickly?
It's around 2016 where I felt I wanted to do something in sport, and I was always a UFC MMA fan. In fact, one of our guys is coming to Australia on Shul Jubilee, and he's fighting an Australian guy. So let's see how that goes.
Yeah.
So on the, I think it's the Sydney card next month. But
Ooh.
Very cool.
so great. So, I was always a combat sports fan. I used to do a little boxing, a little Muay Thai, growing up, a little Taekwondo. Never, of course, I did a little, like everybody else, some arm wrestling in school and college, like everybody else. I wasn't very good at it. So it's not like I was some kind of expert on arm wrestling, but I did want to, always interested in sport, like most men. And it's about 2016, 17 that decided there was a vacuum in the UFC MMA world in India, and I started a podcast called the MMA India show, which really took off and did very well. And I think, and then we followed it up with some websites, MMA India, Sports India show, basically to get a headway into the sports world and kind of get my ear to the ground on how the audience in India perceives certain sports. Now, of course, arm wrestling wasn't one of them. So there was no idea of how they would perceive it. It was just my idea. But when I wanted to get into promotion, sports promotion, there was already some people in MMA, and I felt it was a little crowded. And I also feel, unlike the rest of the world, Indians as a family audience, don't like the blood side of UFC as much, or MMA as much as other countries. I personally don't have a problem. I'm a big fan, like I said, but it was just my observation, and that sponsors also, don't take to that sport because of that. So that's. But I still wanted to get into the combat sport space, and that's where, when I was putting my thinking cap on that arm wrestling, or as we call it in India, Panja. And the great thing is that it did have a Indian name. So that Panja came and to my mind, and I started thinking about the fact that it has an Indian name, right? And that is one of the main things of reaching out to an Indian audience is that it is relatable from the onset. And the first thing that somebody knows about anything is a name. So
So it was
and
already like an embedded part of the culture.
yeah, well,
So there was
everybody's played Panja at some point or the other. Though it was never viewed as a professional sport, I would call it a recreational sport, right? Nobody knew how it's played professionally or even amateur, right? Though people, amateurs, had been playing this for quite a few years. I don't think there was much education about it. Though I did feel that there is a lot of upside, and people will, once you put it in front of them in the proper way, and market it right. I felt there is a very big upside because people know the sport. They know the basic idea of the sport, which is to put the other guy's arm down, right? And after that, you have you have hook, top roll, you've got your elbow fouls. Everything else comes, but the basic idea, like in football, the basic idea is to put the ball in the other team's net. So the basic idea of this is something that everybody understands. It's just how interesting you make it then, and are you able to make it interesting enough for 2 hour telecast in a country which is obsessed with cricket? Because without a doubt, the country is cricket country. We all know that. But there is another sport, kabaddi, which had made headway, and I feel the country was opening up to other sports, so it was a kind of the right time. And of course, everything is a risk, right? There's no surety about anything. This is just what one feels. It's the intuition one has, and you have to go with that if you're going to start anything. And that's how we made the start into arm wrestling. And yeah. So we started off Feb 29th, 2020, with our first, what we call, a ranking tournament. And it went off great. The sports minister was there, Mr. Kiran Rijiju, at that time, very supportive. We had a couple of big meetings. Unfortunately, the first lockdown happened about 3 weeks after that. So then it was a matter of re-looking at things, re-strategizing. Mazahir, of course, one of our number one in India, and re-strategizing and coming back. We had a couple of events in between the first and second lockdown, where we put it in front of famous locations, Gateway of India. We did it on top of Casino Boat. Second lockdown happened, came back. We did it in front of the Gwalior Fort. So we started building up the
Mm,
sport like that. The idea was to not come directly with the league, but to slowly build it into the consciousness of people, and especially the press, because it's through the press that people read about you. And we knew we wouldn't just attract huge audiences just
mm.
like that. We would have to first attract the attention of the press, make it interesting, get the word out there, and slowly then you start to build the audience, where now we're at a position which I don't feel will happen everywhere. Hopefully it will very soon. But we were in Mizoram, an Indian state, recently, where we had some what we call mega matches, Pro Punjab mega matches, and we had an audience of 20,000 people.
Wow.
Which is,
What?
yeah, so which is
Oh my god.
yeah, which is not bad
Not
for an
bad.
arm wrestling event. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the biggest crowd I've ever heard of for arm
Is,
yeah.
is that
wrestling.
might be some kind of record.
Yeah, so if you go to our Instagram, you can see that video. During some of the
I'll bring that up.
during some of the matches which we had in Mizoram. So, and Denik, we got a big star out of the Asian Cup, which we held in Mumbai in October, and on the back of him, he became a huge star. He won a gold in the Asian Cup, defeated this good Kazakhstan guy, and became a big name. We started pushing his name out there through the press, and it all came together. And I would say it's his star power and the Pro Panja League brand, which got some excitement going for a Pro Panja event there. And we kind of, like they say, hit the iron while it's hot. So we put together an event very very quickly over there, and we had the support of the sports ministry and the tourism ministry as well.
And this is the thing, you've become now intrinsically involved in the sport at an administrative level and taken a leadership role within arm wrestling in India. And you also head up the biggest and best promotion and seemingly all of the supporting events around it. So your influence now in the sport is such that you're now giving amazing opportunities to athletes like Mazahaya, who is now a nationally recognised figure. How gratifying is that for some of your stardust to now pass on to your athletes and for them to build their own profiles and futures through the sport?
No, it feels great. And if you scroll down a bit, I'll tell you where to stop. But it feels great. This one, yeah, you got it.
Oh,
Do you see that
wow.
crowd? Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, look at that. That's
That
That's
ridiculous.
is
that's Denik getting them to say Pro Panja League, all of them together.
Wow. Should I put the,
wow.
I'll put the audio on.
One, two, three.
Wow. Insane.
Wow. And how did that feel for you to see 25,000 people fill a stadium, all because of an idea you had to popularize a long forgotten cultural sport or cultural recreation?
It feels great, but I do have to say it's teamwork. Of course, we've got it's the athletes' hard work as well, and like you were saying, how does it feel for the athletes to be stars? I've always told the athletes, it's not about me, it's about you guys. We're of course part of the marketing, but at the end of the day, they have to perform, they have to work hard, to lift the sport in India, because it's not just about the Pro Panjali, which is a big part of providing a platform for athletes to aspire to, but it's also as a country to start getting better on the world stage and Asian stage as well. But
Mm.
like I said, that's in their hand. It's for us, of course, to provide the platform for them to aspire to. But at the end of the day, it's their hard work in the gym which is going to pay off or not.
Perhaps share with us who were some of those bright lights in the arm wrestling, in the Indian arm wrestling world that you think might be bursting through onto the international stage at some stage in the not too distant future?
Mazayar, of course, he trains with some of the best as well in Dubai. I think Danik has a lot of. He's at a pivotal stage of his career. I think Danik, a young boy from Mizoram, and because he's getting a lot of stardom right now, especially in his home state. You know, he's coming with us right now. We're going for the World Cup. This is not the World Championship, but the World Cup right now to Tashkent as well, and he's coming.
Yeah.
It's very important that he keep his feet on the ground and not let, because one thing that does happen in India when you do achieve something, of course the press gets behind you, your home state gets behind you, and you have to make sure that it doesn't all get to your head, right? Because you got to focus on continuing the win. You're going to keep facing harder opponents as you go ahead, right? So your training cannot be the same. It has to keep getting harder and harder. And I tell the athletes this nowadays. Mazahir went to Kazakhstan, you know, and one of the reasons he said they're number one is that their warm up is like our workout, you know. So this is something that I tell all the athletes. You know, you got to keep this in mind, that if you want to be number one, you got to remember this, that they're working much harder. It's not like they were born arm wrestlers, right? Or born with better skills than you. It's only that they are training harder than you. So it's as simple as that.
Mind you, who knows what they're doing in Kazakhstan? There's all kinds of things going on in factories. Goodness knows what kind of genetic mutations they're coming up with. Because I've seen some bloody wrists on some of those Kazakhs, and that's not normal. That's not seen anywhere else. It's it.
Sorry.
And we were talking to Matuari Rengi just a little while ago about the difficulty with traveling from New Zealand to.
Hello.
Yeah, we got you, mate.
Are you there, mate?
Yeah, we can hear you still.
Hello.
We can hear you. Can you hear us? You might just be having
sound when a call came from. So
that's
okay.
right.
We've still got you.
Yeah, we're all here. We wouldn't leave you.
Look at these amazing images here of the Pro Panja League, this first season, and you can see Mazahir here. Mazahir.
Try to get the sound back. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah,
can you hear me? Can you give me a thumbs up?
I can hear you. Yep.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Let me just try to leave and come back. I'm just gonna.
No.
Should I leave? And I'm just gonna come back. I'm just gonna leave.
All right. That's fine.
Cool.
We'll
get Parvinn deals with these technical details there. Matt will talk us.
But have a look at this production level here, and this is world class. I don't think that we've ever seen anything like this. I mean, look at the stage, the setup, everything that's going on here, the multiple camera angles. We've got close-ups on both athletes' faces, overhead camera view. Look at the amazing staging, the flooring, the branding, the athletes' uniforms. Everything here is absolutely A class.
So this is something that we put a lot of thought into. You know, as you can see, we spend a lot of time. Can you hear me, guys, now?
Yeah.
Okay. That we put and thanks for the appreciation. It's always good to have what you've thought of appreciated. This is something that we put a lot of thought into, because I've always believed God is in the details, right? And see, we are not. My idea has always been that see, we are not what's the word in competition with the arm wrestling world. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yep.
Hello.
Yep.
Hello. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes.
Look. Okay. Let me just.
No, we can hear.
Sorry, you might be getting a phone call a couple of times in a row. I think
it can happen. And of course,
it's too popular.
He's spinning so many plates and got so much going on. I'm surprised his phone hasn't cut out before now. But and more to that point, you know, just the thought given to this shot alone. One, you've got the referee's professionally dressed. He's wearing the brand. The strap is wearing the brand. Everywhere you look, every shot there's been there. You got the sponsors in the background flashing through. There's action in the background there. It's not even like there's hundreds of people, but it's activity and the thoughtfulness in this set, even in just this shot that just slides subtly across, is a testament to the time and attention that the Pro Panja team have put into how their sport looks on TV. And this is something no one else is doing. People are making pay-per-view events. Promoters around the world are making pay-per-view events that doesn't compete for people's attention. But once you're on TV, once you're on free to air TV, and people have a remote in their hand and they can flick at any moment and they can find 50 sports, they can find 30 movies all at the touch of a button. Having production values like this counts, because you need to not only get people's attention into your obscure sport, but once they're on there, you've got to maintain that attention, and or I should say retain that attention. And that's what the team at Pro Panja have done exceptionally well here.
I love the fact that the teams are in the background and they're all invested in what's going on. There's no one's got a phone out. No one's looking away into the corner.
Phones were not allowed, actually.
That's good. Well,
good move.
It is a very good move, because we were talking to Jake Ward last night, and I brought up some highlights of him when he was introducing events, and in the background, like, he's standing in a suit, he's got a microphone, he's literally started the show, and he's introducing everyone. In the background, there's 3 people like just standing there on their phone. It's like, my God, why didn't you get them out of the shot? Anyway. So
thanks, Dave. So I just want to say, here is where, a little bit of my experience in the film world, counts, because like you rightly said, you're not in competition with the arm wrestling world, with all due respect, because when you're on TV, you are in competition with the remote control, right? There's 1,000 other things nowadays, content people can watch. They'll go back to watching reels on Instagram, right? If you're not interesting enough. So you have to make sure that you are interesting enough without being desperate, right? It's not like you can try to do too much to capture their attention. So that's a fine line that one balances, and some of our film experience counts there, in terms of like the shot taking and the the video production company's experience, and us sitting down. And we actually went through the shot taking of how we would go through like a player walking out, and for me, I saw it like a film scene. Right. So how are you going to capture a guy walking, in on a film scene? So we tried to make sure that we knew, and we discussed, how the camera is going to move each time, and how it is, because it's not a sport where there's a lot of motion. Right, in terms of football, the guys are all moving, and the camera. So rather, and the people are not moving except when they're walking in and they're celebrating. Right, all the action is on the table. So the movement and making it interesting visually has to be from the camera work. So that's something we sat on. We rehearsed with the commentators as well. Matt knows, he was about, he was coming for season 2. We went through, chatting about the commentary, because that's a big part of a broadcast as well. So in the first season, we had the guys rehearse quite a few times, get to know each other. There's a chemistry of what they were saying, and how to also make sure that, because this is not a broadcast for the arm wrestling community, it's a broadcast for the sporting community and the masses. So you have to make sure, when you're talking about something, that nobody knows, outside of the arm wrestling community, what a top roll is what a hook is. You have to give a little description without being too preachy, or without dwelling on it too much, because you got to explain it, people understand it, then you move on, and then they start to get it as they keep watching. So like I said, very fine balance on introducing the professional side of the sport to people.
And it's hard not to. It's
walking through smoke. You've got a crane camera view that's pulling up. You've got shots of the crowd interspliced, and I mean, look at that. That's a camera on a crane floating through the room. So
it's hard, if you're watching this, to not almost mirror the excitement of the crowd. Like I find myself wanting to get. Well, I can't hear the music, but I want to clap along, and people are smiling, and their heads are bobbing, and they're vested and interested, and it makes it you want to mirror that behavior. You want to think, oh, well, these people are they're interested, they're vested, they're having a good time. Wow, okay, well, why? There must be a reason. It's people just don't do that kind of thing for fun. They're not doing that at a darts tournament, are they, or whatever? Or lawn bowls maybe. But somehow you've created that atmosphere around arm wrestling, or around an arm wrestling event, in the way that nobody else has been able to do so far.
Yeah, thanks. I'll just give you a little, like when we were doing our event in Mizoram, you know, and we had some entertainment in between. We had some bands playing in between the matches, and these were very popular local bands. But every time the band came on, the people would either go to get food or go to the bathroom. You know, so they were using that as the break,
Yeah.
whereas before it used to be the opposite, right?
Yeah.
So this is something that the sports minister pointed out to me, and I mean, I could see it, of course, but I can't say it, right? It's not for me to say, look how well, that people. So he actually pointed out to me. He said, look, when the match is going on, everybody's standing, everybody's watching, everybody's interested, and they're excited. And as soon as and with all due respect to the bands, they were great, but as soon as something else is coming on, they're sitting down, they're chilling, or they're going to the bathroom. It was emptying out. They were going to get food. So it's great that we were able to create that kind of environment, and like I said, it's about and a large part of that was because of Denick, his hard work. We have to recognize his hard work in being able to win the gold medal in the Asian Cup. He lost in the prelims, but he figured out how to get back at him. So he had to win 2 rounds then, right, in the final, and he was able to do that. So kudos to him, and that's what created a lot of excitement is in his home state. He's a big star now over there. People bought him a bike, AC, fridge. He doesn't come from a very great background. We gave him a good cash prize as well as a award,
Fantastic.
and so he deserves it though. So this is why I keep telling him, we can make the platform, but we can't win for you for it. So it's up to the athletes to put in that hard work and not make excuses, and and understand that the other athlete is always working harder than you. So it doesn't matter as big or shiny a platform as we make, but they have to put in the hard work.
Oh, look at the smile on Denick there when that
Wow.
round started. He knew he was in complete control there. You could see he's looking out to the crowd. He's
Yeah.
not even looking at his opponent at all.
But I have to say that his opponent did provide a much more competitive third round, and I felt if I think he started to figure out Denick, and if this was best of seven, it probably would have been a little more competitive. But yeah, full kudos to Denick.
What do you think of an idea of a first to 25 match?
Sorry?
What do you think of the idea of a first to 25 match?
First to 25.
Like the
think they
test
would have
match
any-
cricket version. If Pro Punja's the 2020 of arm wrestling, what about the test match version?
Well, I don't know if they would have any hands left on them, but yeah. I mean,
I can't
Like a
believe this,
marathon of arm wrestling.
Yeah.
this is what is amazing to me is if the people that are always talking on other podcasts and stuff with the North American and the European side of things, and they're using East versus West and King of the Table and Knuckles Up and AWE and the other promotions that are out there as sort of the baseline as to where we can improve the sport. And it's like, have you not seen Pro Punja's stuff? Have a look at this. Look at this level of audience participation. Look at the staging, the lighting, the production work, the athletes, the way that's been presented. It's like this is the highest level of presentation of arm wrestling, and so many people are just not aware of it yet. And I love the fact that you're on the show.
So I have to say we've been lucky that, like, here we tied up with the Mizoram Sports Department and the tourism department, and we made this as part of the winter festival which happens over there. And this was their biggest crowd. Everybody had come to see Denick and arm wrestling. But apart from the league, which happens in one window, we have started making a calendar of events now. Especially this year, and especially going forward from. It's really funny, but when I was in hospital, I had, of course, time to think, And there were a couple of things which I started thinking about, and I realized, that we need to have a bigger calendar and a hybrid system. So not just a league, but like cricket, right? You don't just have IPL, you have matches throughout, and that's of course easier said than done, right?
Mm.
Because you can't just keep pumping in money. You need, but the good thing is we were able to. Some people took risks with us. We've reached out. We've made connections. We were able to do a huge show in a place called Dehradun in a state, Uttarakhand in India. Again, tying up with the local sports department over there, where they were already doing a huge youth festival, and we were part of the finale then in front of the governor of
Mm.
the state. And
Yeah.
we managed to put up quite a show, and then the sports secretary, Mr. Amit Sinha, he afterwards said, great, because he was feeling nervous of whether people are going to be able to enjoy or an hour and a half, 2 hours of arm wrestling or not, because not everybody has seen it, right? Some people, you've seen it on TV, but you don't really recognize the energy that we've managed to create until you're actually there. So, so they were very happy with with the performance over there, and so you get to show that to other states then, and people see, and it's like a ripple effect, right? You're able to tie up and do these bigger tournaments, and other states see, and we were able to do Mizoram. Now we're in talks with some other states. So some of the thing is also tying up, so you have bigger platforms already. We've created, the good thing is we've created this big image in people's minds now, right?
Mm.
Pro Panja League. Now that's going to happen though once a year. Now these others are kind of sub brands, the mega matches that we do, we're still doing them in front of famous monuments. Mizoram, we were actually able to put together just in 2 weeks.
Mm.
Even the Dehradun event, we put together in 10 days while I was on the road. Everything was just done on the phone.
Wow.
Luckily we didn't have to put together the production side of it. The state was handling the stage and everything, but the players and the matchups and everything. And I was traveling to Dubai, but putting all of this together literally in 10 days. But when opportunity knocks, you gotta take it.
Mm.
You gotta take it.
I'm just imagining Abhishek Singh's head exploding when you said we got to do a whole show in 10 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what he gets paid the big bucks, so he's all right. So,
But I'll tell you, they've realized that I don't just say things unless I feel they can really happen. And once we've put our mind to it, once we've said yes, then then it's a yes. We're gonna make it happen no matter what. Like even right now, just yesterday, we are part of this huge riders festival in close to Delhi, place called Gurgaon, which is an event done by one of the hugest radio stations, and they asked us. They're one of our partners in the league.
mm.
So they're already doing this riding festival. So they said, "Do you want to be a part of the show?" Yes, we said, "Great." So we're going to be doing like two big mega matches, on one of the days, and the rest of the days we're going to have our table there for fan engagement. We're going to have a player. We're going to have a referee. And it's so you get to be a part of these bigger events, and that's also how you get arm wrestling into the mainstream, and and make it bigger, because you get these bigger stages as well, and in front of all kinds of audiences, and you get the people also then to participate in it, of course, in a safe way. We make sure we always have a referee there, so nobody's chugging down a couple of beers and injuring themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, which is important, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Hollywood Matt Connolly, perhaps we can turn to the comments before asking Parvinn what is in store for Pro Panja League in 2025.
Absolutely, yes. Well, we've got the man who we were just talking about a second ago. Abhishek Singh has jumped in to say, finally, the boss man is on the Lads podcast. He's probably sitting like out of shot right now. You can see him in the reflection of Parvinn's glasses.
So I think the Drew 24 is saying only downside is only in India for now. for now being the key words.
Yes.
So we are already planning,
Global
putting Pro
domination.
Panja. Yeah, well,
Global domination.
let's just say there's enough space for everybody.
But mostly for you, yeah.
So
Mostly Pro Punch is taking over.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what we're saying here. And why wouldn't it at this juncture? I mean, you do have a formula that is working very, very successfully. And to my mind, it's not. You did say that you were very mindful of local sensibilities when coming up with the presentation, but from an outsider in perspective of watching what it is that you guys do, it doesn't look like an Indian event. It looks like any professional world-class event that you'd see anywhere in the world. So it's not a discernibly Indian event, apart from the fact that the athletes might be Indian, for instance.
Well, as you know, this year, last year, of course, we were only in Hindi, but this year we were planning, and we will again ahead to do in English commentary as well, because we do want to start then tying up with broadcasters around the world, and start putting it out there. Of course, third season onwards, we are looking at bringing in a foreign. I don't want to use the term foreign, but you know what I mean. I don't mean it in a non so people from outside of India, because the idea was also the first 2 years to get the Indian arm wrestlers used to this stage and the platform to start building up Indian standards, get them to realize the idea of what we're doing, and from the third season onwards, create a separate weight category, super heavyweight and another for arm wrestlers from outside of India as well.
Just be careful with if you've Abhishek's got your credit card details, because he might be trying to book the Sphere in Las Vegas while he's listening. So just double check if he's there.
That's right.
Well, let me tell you something. Nothing for me is outside the realm of possibility, and I'll give you a little example of that. When in April of 2022, we went to inaugurate our first arm wrestling academy in Gwalior, which is towards the north of India in a state, Madhya Pradesh. And they were fortunate to get this space from the government, and we did this opening. And the next morning, they took me and Preeti to the Gwalior Fort, which it's a huge fort. It's big, it's very well known in India in terms of historical terms. And I was standing in front of there, and I was like, you know what? How would it be to do, because I'd already done one in front of Gateway of India, but of course it was not within the premises, right? It was with a view of, we did it on this pier where you could see the Gateway of India in the back. But I was like, how would it be to do an event here? Like there's a light and sound area with the fort right behind you. And I asked one of the guys, I was like, what do you think if we do an arm wrestling event here? And he was like, yeah, exactly there. You've got the Gwalior Fort.
Wow.
And he was like, sir, you're joking, right? I was like, no, I'm not joking. What would it take to do, an event here? And so we, so that is what got the ball rolling. We were very fortunate to meet one of the biggest royal families and politicians, Mr. Scindia, who helped us with a lot of things. We were actually denied permission a week before the event was going to happen, for to do it in that area of the fort. Yeah, because this is a grade A monument. So as you can see, it's history. It's not a small fort. It's huge, and it's very distinct with its blue, in between. And so we started the ball rolling. We got Monster Michael Todd down to do a seminar. Also, we got the Asian president down, and before the fort, we were doing it in this college 3-4 days, the prelims, because it was our second ranking tournament. And the permission was rejected. Mr. Scindia helped. I went down. I had to change plans, rush down to Delhi to get the permission done. And it was another thing that was happening is it was monsoon time, and it was still raining. So everybody told me, listen, it's not going to stop raining. It's the monsoons. Change the venue, do it inside the college where we are anyways, because we're not going to be able to set up last moment. So yes, we had a pretty good audience over there as well. And I said, you know what? I have visualized it in front of the fort, and trust me, we're going to do it there. And luckily enough, there you can see how it looks with the fort behind. Is
Ooh.
that the night before we were supposed to be there, it stopped raining, and literally overnight made the stage, put everything up, and we did the event, big success. Everybody was blown away just by the momentous occasion of doing it there, with the Gwalior Fort in the back. And you won't believe it, we finished, and literally as we were there, you go, that's a great view of where we were setting up. Literally 5 minutes after the event finished, literally we were getting into our cars and it started raining.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so I have to say, that's where you believe in divine intervention. That there was yeah. What else could it be? There's Monster Michael Todd, of course, coming in, and it was definitely a higher power helping us out. That's what I felt.
Wow, this is where that
Incredible.
photo that's in your office is from. I
Yep,
was
yep.
wondering where that was. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't
Well,
realize
there
that
you go.
this
Yeah,
was the
it's right
moment.
there. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, so I just feel, being able to put the table in front of these bigger locations, it makes the sport bigger, and so the sport, the arena then is not just the table, but it's this whole area, you
Mm.
know. So it helps in making the sport bigger. It gives the media better pictures. It looks great in the press. So all of these things add up. And yeah, so a couple of places in Australia where the table would look, Pro Panja table would look pretty good as well.
On top of
Ah,
Ayers Rock.
that's right.
We apparently can't do it. We've already asked, but
Okay.
We'll
Sydney
do it
Opera
anyway.
House might be a nice spot for you, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So a couple of things.
So
One can dream. Let's just say one can dream.
so, and can we ask what's up next for Pro Punja League?
Well, we'll be announcing the dates of the second season soon. There's been some back and forth with the channel, because people don't always realize that for us to fix the dates again, the channel has to be available, plus it has to be a good time. We don't want to be in competition with cricket or kabaddi happening on some other channel.
Yeah.
So it's not easy picking those dates. There's been a lot of cricket coming up, IPL, blah blah blah. So we are going to be announcing the dates very soon. We're just waiting for the final email from which we've already had the final discussion with them. So we've already got the dates. So to announce them, we're just waiting for the we usually put out a press release with the channel, which takes a week, 10 days. So once that official press release happens, we'll be announcing the date. Apart from that, like I said, that's just one side of it. We also have the official Asian Arm Wrestling Championships happening in India first week of May. Like I said, we have this Riders Festival coming up. We are planning a ladies-only tournament again in Madhya Pradesh for March 8th, which is Women's Day. So we are planning something over there, and we've already done a tournament before over there, literally on the banks of a river. Along with the support of the government. So we're going to be planning something for Ladies' Day over there. And we have an event in Bangalore, again at a sports expo, Feb 14, 15, 16th in Bangalore, the Fitness, Sports, Nutrition Expo. And a couple of other things which are working out. We have our nationals as well coming up, and a couple of other mega matches which are being planned, and we will announce pretty soon. So like I said, we've got a calendar now happening, a pretty busy one, in which we balance both the professional and amateur. But I think it's a big year because we have the Asian Championship as well as Pro Panja League. So it's a pretty both happening, and pretty exciting year. To keep building the sport in the country.
It makes me excited seeing all this stuff.
Thanks.
While watching it, it's like I'm just
Yeah.
like, yes, this is amazing.
Thanks. So one of the good things to be able to host these international championships, like we just hosted the Asian Cup in October. I think Matt got to see the first day.
Yep.
Right. So one of the benefits of being able, and of course the official Asian Arm Wrestling Championship is going to be even bigger because you have even more talent coming in. Is the benefit to Indian arm wrestling is that a lot more Indian arm wrestlers can participate because they don't have to, pay. Yeah, there you go.
All the
Asian
flights and
Cup.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have to pay for flights. So it doesn't depend on whether you can afford to go, because here you just catch a train, you catch a bus and come, and it's a lot more affordable for the kids. So a lot more of the better and more the higher ranked players are able to participate, and that helps in more medals, and more medals means more athletes are inspired because it's also about mindset. Listen, we can do this, because I keep telling these guys, listen, we need to be, top five, top three, within the next 3 years. So, and getting international competitions to India is a part of that. So we had a
Wow.
great opening with this big band. I don't know if Matt was still around
I
at
was
that time.
there for that. I was in the
Okay.
background when that gentleman was
Okay,
walking
great.
into the building. Yeah.
Right. So there was a lot of noise, but I think it was a pretty fun opening. Yeah.
I love those drums. They, you
Yeah.
you saw a quick shot of it before, but as soon as you
Yeah.
hear all those banging drums, it's like, oh, something important is happening.
Yeah.
And the exciting thing for India really is that you are right there in the hub of one of the most populous regions in the world, and as attested, if you look at the countries that are right there, and a lot of these countries are arm wrestling superpowers in their own right. Kazakhstan, Georgia, not too far away, and really all of this is quite easily accessible for those athletes, and for you, and I guess for Pro Panja moving forward, and especially with half a mind to international expansion. There's a huge pool of talent not too far away, all within the region.
Yeah, absolutely. The great thing about being in Asia is you have the top, some of the top countries. Kazakhstan is, of course, is number one. You've got Kyrgyzstan, like you said, Georgia, Uzbekistan. So you've got some of the top countries. So when these athletes participate they get the best experience. But like you rightly said, for us also the talent pool, like in the Mizoram event, we used 2 Kazakhstan athletes. It's not too far. It costs less to bring them down, so it's great that some of the top talent is not too far, and even the Asian Championship is in Delhi. So, and there's direct flights from all of these countries, so we're expecting a huge participation. And we were able to get the Asian Cup also broadcast on a sports channel called Eurosport. It had 3 airings. It was recorded, but it's still a step in the direction of getting these tournaments broadcast time.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Dave, this tournament, well, I think it was 5 days or 4 or 5 days that it went over.
Yeah,
6 days.
5 days.
5
It was
days,
supposed
yeah.
to be 6, but there was a break in between, so it was 5 days of actual competition.
Right, but yeah, the amount of competitors and quality competitors that were here at this event, and you've got a whole day dedicated just for the women's event in certain weight classes, or just for the men's weight classes this one day, because there's so many amazing competitors that have turned up to compete. It's so astronomically different to what we're experiencing around the world comparatively. I know that North America, their biggest tournament, which is Winter Blast, and I think they have about 600 people that go along to that. They thought that was the biggest number they'd heard, and I'm like, that's like a local tournament in India.
The Kerala state has like 1,500, almost sometimes 2,000 people come for it. Our nationals last year was 2,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's not easy to handle, though. It gets, now we're actually thinking of splitting and making it, 2 different, dividing it so not everybody is there at the same time to make it a little easier to handle.
Incredible. Well, if that doesn't get you excited about the future of Indian arm wrestling, I don't know what will. And if you're not already following the Pro Panja League, head over to all of their handles, Pro Panja League. They're right there. It's Instagram, Facebook. Follow the content, understand what you're getting yourselves into, because at the end of the day, if you want to see the best presentation of the sport in the world, that's exactly where you're going to find it, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank Parvinn for joining us here on the podcast. Thank you very much. And it's just a joy to see you once again healthy, fit, strong, back at it, mate.
Thank you so much for having me. Always great chatting with you guys, and hope to see you in India soon. Cheers, guys.
Bless.
Thanks again, mate. No worries.
Thanks, mate.